Meet the first American to spend nearly a year in space. In 2016, veteran NASA astronaut Scott Kelly broke the U.S. record for consecutive months spent in orbit. While he stayed in the International Space Station, NASA studied the effects of long-term weightlessness on Scott's body, comparing any changes with his twin brother, astronaut Mark Kelly, who stayed behind back on Earth. Scientists later found that Scott lengthened by 2 inches, his heart shrank by 27%, and his DNA mutated. This is Scott Kelly's HiHo Ask Me Anything.
So the changes to your DNA and the physical changes that you experienced, have those things corrected, meaning went back to the way they were before you traveled?
And what was it like working out in space? Was it easier or was it harder?
I'm not too familiar with the genetic changes as they exist today. I do know that I had 7% of my DNA change. Gene expression, that's DNA, RNA, proteins turning themselves on or off. Some of the stuff I think probably has gone back to normal. I know my telomeres kind of reverted back to where they were. They got better while I was in space, believe it or not. We think that's due to the increased radiation actually has a positive benefit for our telomeres. I wouldn't run out and get a bunch of chest x-rays because of it. Was it harder or easier working in space? Yeah. The zero gravity makes just about everything harder with the exception of moving heavy objects because they no longer weigh anything or just kind of getting your body in weird positions if you're going to fix something. Everything else is harder because everything floats, including you.
Hey Scott, what do you think about all of these billionaires giving rides to their friends up there, more or less as a publicity stunt?
I think billionaires flying their friends in space is a great thing. Not because I want their friends to fly in space, but I want you to fly in space someday if you want to do that. And the way we do that is by flying more people and bringing the cost down and the safety up.
Hey Scott, so how did you, if at all, experience culture shock moving back to the world?
Yes, culture shock coming back to Earth, there was definitely a lot of that. You know, when you go from living in an environment where everything's kind of controlled and you don't have a lot of options to then being back on Earth where there are a lot of options is something that takes a long time to get used to. Just the kind of the psychological aspect of being back on Earth. I think it took me about 8 months before I felt completely back to normal.
I get growing pains on my legs. Doesn't outer space make your legs stretch? And does that hurt?
Hey, sorry you're having growing pains. My brother had some when we were kids, I remember. Yeah, when you're in space without gravity, you stretch some. Your spine stretches. It can cause soreness. I wouldn't say it's growing pains because you're not physically growing, you're just stretching. But yeah, it can cause soreness in your back. I had that. It's just something you have to live with. And hopefully something that you will grow out of because they're growing pains.